Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to another beautiful beach clean day. A little rainy, but I say beautiful all the same because it's pretty warm out, so I think the rain's going to be pretty manageable. But, anyways, as such, I'm just hanging out in the car as I think we have a bit of a gap now in the bad weather. So, hopefully, we'll have some time to do a little bit of beach cleaning. And I wanted to today focus on the difference between ocean plastic pollution that starts at the beach and ocean plastic pollution that's washing up at the beach. So one of the big things that I notice when I beach clean regularly is exactly that difference. Some items that people are leaving here when they come to the beach, particularly now that it is summer weather, other than today, obviously. And then there's, of course, the other types of trash that wash down when there are rainstorms and there's flash floods and that sort of thing. And I've done videos on that before where the trash goes into storm drains and winds up at the beach. So you wind up finding some strange things sometimes, like batteries and light bulbs and other trinkets and tools and random household items that don't seem like they belong at the beach or have any business being anywhere near the ocean. So yeah, it again looks like it's lightening up. So not lightening. We don't want lightning, but it's getting less rainy. And there is no lightning in the forecast, thank goodness, because as soon as I see lightning in the forecast, I cancel the beach cleans. But we should be good today. There's actually supposed to be lightning tomorrow, so I wanted to do a beach clean this week, and that means that today's the day, rain or no rain. So I got my picker here, my trusty claw hand, as you can see, and we'll head on out and hopefully don't get poured on with the rain that's supposed to return. So yeah, let's get going. All right, well, I think we got a nice diversity of items here. And like I said in the car, it is summer-like weather other than today. It just started drizzling again, so hopefully we can make it through this wrap-up review. But so much of this stuff is definitely being left here by people coming to the beach now that it's nice how a lot of COVID restrictions are obviously lifted in many places, including here. So people are just dying to get out. And unfortunately, they're dying to trash up places that they are visiting, where they leave stuff behind, of course. Now, I have a lot more to say about that. I don't know how much in depth I'll get into the nature of where all of the trash is coming in this video, because we did find so many different types, as you saw if you look through that montage that I will edit at some point after recording this. But again, some of this stuff I tried to organize it from left to right in terms of items that I know absolutely started at the beach. There's no way that they would have run off from the streets, and that's basically stuff like this, which I find very often in the summer. Toy sandcastle, digger, picker things for kids. And a lot of that is incidental trash, or what I call incidental trash, which just means that kids and whoever is forgetting it behind. And this is a perfect example. Unfortunately, it might look like a cute starfish. It actually looks a little horrified, if you ask me. And I don't blame it, because it's now just another source of ocean plastic pollution, or another piece of ocean plastic pollution as part of the ocean plastic pollution pandemic, which, as alliterative as that statement is, it's also unfortunately true. And I like to sort of try to make that point that this, while you may, or we may identify it as a toy starfish, it never was anything to do with starfishes, right? It's kind of in a starfish shape, but it's always been just plastic, molded into our image of what a toy should be. And when it's left behind, it will break down into microplastics like some of these other items. As you can see, this is like a milk carton container, lid, or cap rather, something like that. And this will, again, just continue to break down into smaller and smaller bits and just pollute the oceans. I mean, you don't need to do much more than just Google microplastics, and a quick search will show you how much that is getting into marine environments, into marine ecosystems, and into fish and other mammals, that sort of stuff. I think my brother mentioned the other day, I don't know if it's true or how true it is because I haven't researched and verified it myself yet, but he said that some people, which is, as I say as a professor teaching writing, you probably shouldn't start an argument with the phrase some people, because you can make some people say anything, because that's not an actual defined specified group. But he was saying, and it makes sense to me, that some people are saying or advocating for the fact that farm fish, which has gotten a bad rap for many years for various reasons, I suppose. I don't know how warranted they are or not, because again, I need to do research myself, but they have been saying that farmed fish is maybe better because they can control the water and they have fewer microplastics in them, which again are just continuing to build in these marine environments and within these creatures. So don't know how true that is, but it does make sense, at least abstractly, theoretically. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the case already, if at least regarding plastics and the chemicals therein, that does turn out to be the case sometime soon. So yeah, interesting psychologically, I think, how we think of this starfish toy, good, but now it's plastic trash. And I think it's worth noting too that it's not as if I'm trying to shame people here, because I forget what book I was reading. It was either a Noah Harari book or somebody who was writing about the history of humans and how we may have historically actually been litterers for most of our existence, because once you go back far enough to hunter-gatherers and traveling on African plains and that sort of thing to follow herds and all that good stuff, we would have left stuff behind, right, that we weren't using. We would have obviously used it up much more than we do now with consumer culture and throwaway culture and single-use plastic culture. But there is something perhaps innately in us where we do think of, well, once we have utilized the full utility of an item, we tend to toss it out and just move on to the next resource, basically. And I think that's maybe part of the problem of the convergence of this plastic pollution pandemic, as I'll call it, because it is alliterative and it sounds snazzier, but I think it's also appropriate to say. And what we're finding, why this stuff keeps turning up, why people, even who are otherwise well-meaning, they may be leaving this stuff behind. Maybe they picked up all their food trash, but they just happened to forget one of these, and that's all it takes, right? Every single one of us forgetting one of these. So that raises the issue as to what the solution is. Do we need to raise awareness? Do we need to make more sustainably sourced materials? You hear that a lot. It's easy to say, but again, I think it takes a lot more comprehensive approaches and comprehensive solutions other than just saying, well, there's good people who are litterers and, there are good people who are not litterers and there are bad people who are litterers. That's obviously true too. Some of this trash, I found a bunch of these on the beach, and this is just clearly people leaving them behind. These will run off from street side litter, because I can confirm this. If you just go back to any of my winter beach clean videos, every week I would come to beaches like this one and find more of this trash. And there were stretches in the winter where there was basically nobody around. I mean, even today, it's a little cloudy, a little rainy, it's still warm, and there's nobody here. So in the winter, you add in going down from 70 degrees to sub-freezing, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and nobody's going to be on the beach. So yeah, somebody might leave something here and there, but over the winter, a lot of that is when there's heavy rainwater, stuff washing down, and I've done videos about that too, where I can show you the process. You can look at street grates and see sometimes the ones that are small enough or have holes that are small enough, this type of stuff slips through, bottle caps, straws, that sort of thing. And as I say, plastic is in no hurry to get down to the ocean and then spend hundreds of years, decades, however long, depending upon the grade and type of plastic, to erode and just, again, break down into these smaller microplastics, which is part of the problem, I think, as well, why this is such a explosive issue. Not all of a sudden, people have been talking about all of this for a while now, but we're adding more plastic to the environment, but there's also been this plastic in the environment that's been slowly breaking down. So we're adding to what's already there that has already been, again, just kind of continuing to break down into smaller and smaller bits. And that's why I find spots all along the beaches, pretty much everywhere near where I live. And some of them are just more plastic than sand. It's a tapestry of just plastic bits. And I've been finding this more and more and trying to talk to more and more people about it. And it is good. There has been a rise in general awareness to these issues, and it can be daunting, it can be frustrating sometimes, where you feel like with any, I guess we'll call it advocacy work, progress isn't being made quick enough. But you have to keep in mind that you are impacting at a micro level as we work towards macro solutions, right? Perfect example are these balloons, which I couldn't get the other one, or I found a rope too. I guess it was a nylon rope that was wrapped around a branch, and this looks like a nightmare for anything that is interested in making a nest, right? You get caught up in one of these. I can't even tear this from these twigs and seaweed, and I have thumbs and I can't do it, right? I have opposable thumbs, as they call them. Imagine if you are a turtle or some type of nesting bird and you get tied up in one of these. Not too good. And I've seen it before. I've seen birds on this very beach with this type of stuff around their feet. So it does happen. And if you think about the environmental impact and degradation that we normally input into the environment, the last thing we need is to do more of this. So it has been good to see fewer and fewer of some of this plastic, like balloons and straws. There's been a lot of local plastic bag bans and balloon bans, or balloon release bans, which is fantastic, straw bans. So I have been finding less of that stuff, which again, that is good. Every natural environmental critter that can go about its day as we infringe upon more and more habitats, we got to try to strike a better balance, even if it's not ideal, or it's inevitable that, we're going to have to find that balance the hard way, maybe, right? As nature suffers. But yeah, a lot of this stuff you saw as well. I guess what I'm trying to get across is that the idea of, like, there's the beach and then there's the other, right? There's the streets and the towns. That's non-existent. Those are just categories that we apply or put upon, layer upon everything, right? The beach never really begins or ends. It's just what we have decided to categorize as the beach. It's just like I was saying, we categorize people as litterers or non-litterers. I'm sure I've littered something incidentally. If I'm at the beach and I put stuff down and something blows away, like a face mask, that might have I might not even know it, right? And then you go to the beach and you find a bunch of face masks and you think, who are all these horrible people throwing away their face masks? Because I do see that too. So it's really hard to pin down where the source of all this trash is coming from. And again, like I said, there's picnic tables near the parking lot. Well, is that the beach, or is that part of the town that's up the road, right? Where do you draw the line? And it's more complicated than just, again, these kind of basic categories that we like to craft in our minds, because it makes, I guess, navigating the world and reality and our lives a little bit more manageable, because the gods know it's difficult enough. And I point to, in terms of the fact that it's complicated and there's stuff coming from all sorts of places, exhibit hanger. This is the one item here that I know didn't start at the beach. This had to have come from a tipped over garbage can, slid down the hill. Probably, this could be actually kind of old. The color's a little faded, I think. It's pretty stained and dirty. And that makes sense. A hanger probably isn't going to just show up on the beach overnight. But again, rainstorm after rainstorm, it slides down the hill through the woods, ends up on the beach, was tangled in the dunny reeds. Not good for marine environments, right? So anyways, I could talk about this stuff all day, obviously. I mean, there's so much more here. The, what do you call this? What is this? Pool noodle or whatever? Beach noodle. I used to whack the heck out of my brothers with these, and they would, you know, fight me pretty bad. They're fun, but this is probably from last year, actually, because it's still early in the season. And the rest of this is somewhere scattered on the beach and breaking down into more pieces. So good to pick up when you find them. But again, that breaks off in the water. What are we supposed to do about that, right? How are we supposed to prevent people from using them unless we come up with some way to make this more biodegradable and or use more sustainable materials? I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. We do need to address a lot of these problems at the production manufacturing level, as well as waste management too. It's not a one-step solution process. It's very comprehensive, and it's been good to see people taking different sorts of initiatives. I can't find it right now, but I found another tennis ball as an example. What did I do with my tennis ball? See, I already lost it. As I was just saying, not to blame me for also littering. I found a tennis ball and I've lost it. But I'll find plenty more. And those are coming fresh. I see the tennis courts right up there along the cliffs. And what's the solution to that, right? Well, if you go back and watch my Wilson recycling videos, Wilson Sporting Goods is interested in trying to help with this problem. That's great. That's a huge step in the right direction. It's not going to solve the problem overnight, but you can't just throw up your hands and say, well, if it's not exactly what I want, the heck with it, right? It's going to take those incremental steps to really get to where we want. So we'll see one day. And this was my favorite maybe find, because, I mean, come on, if you're going to bring Fireball to the beach, at least have the decency to get totally trashed on it, right? And I found other beers and that sort of thing too, but this has got to be really bad to just, this is going to break eventually and empty out on the beach, where I see birds over there and other creatures fluttering about. So birds don't want to drink this. I know there's a dragon type creature thing on the front. That's what they'll turn into if you feed them this. And that's not what we want flying around when we're trying to have a nice day at the beach, right? That's the last thing we want them to turn into. So yeah, pick this up, clean this up when you find it, and don't leave it at the beach. Again, they were probably so trashed that they just forgot it, maybe, right? And that's sort of what happens. A more sustainable container, maybe not as big of a deal, but hey, what are you gonna do? So anyways, that's basically it for this week. Actually, sort of glad that I was able to find such a diversity of items to show you. The summer stuff is back, like I said. We got Italian ices, or shaved ices as they're known throughout the rest of the country, I believe. And a lot of the other typical stuff, in addition to stuff that I find year round. So is it coming from the streets? Is it coming from the beach? That depends. Some of this comes from both types of sources, like I said, but unfortunately there's no shortage of it year round. But I say to be encouraged. Again, we're doing our part, you're doing your part just by watching and learning more, and I'm learning more with you. I'm only a quote-unquote beach clean expert, perhaps, because I do it a lot, and I try to do some research along with that and just talk to people. That's my favorite part, honestly, is meeting people from all over the world via Instagram and Reddit, and obviously here on YouTube, and hearing their stories and experiences with different types of trash that they find in different types of initiatives, different types of solutions. Again, I've met so many different types of people who are doing so many different types of things, whether they're organizing their own cleanups. I know a guy who's making a trash cleaning machine that goes up the beach and filters out plastic bits. There's people who are running initiatives themselves in terms of setting up trash stations where you have little recycle bins and you can go on the beach and pick up trash. So there's all sorts of really interesting, innovative things happening. And that's what you can be a part of, honestly, if you just, this is my advertisement part of the video. If you just want to do your part, but not really. Just learn more, talk more, and then ultimately try to do more if you can. And I have people say that all the time. They're like, yeah, I saw your video and I'm starting to clean up my local river or lake or something like that too, which is also, again, important for that local habitat. And it's all connected. Stuff that starts inland with rivers will run off to the beach eventually. But this has gone way over what I normally do because I'm excited to be back on the beach. I was actually away this weekend camping upstate from where I usually live, probably 4 or 5 hours. It was nice to get away to a different natural environment, and I actually brought my camera gear here to record a video, and I was very happy that there was no trash. People often say, ask what is my ultimate goal with these videos and this work, and it's to not have to do them. And hopefully if people like these videos, I could just switch to doing nature ones, and it's probably what I should have done is record some hiking videos. So maybe that's something that we'll do in the future coming up, because that's the whole point, is nature's, for lack of a better term, freaking awesome. And I like to show that and share that and show that you can make a difference. So anyways, thanks so much for watching. As always, if you like this sort of stuff, and again, you want to help, just share these videos, like them, comment. The awareness is everything, I think. And the YouTube algorithm is more interested in clickbait videos than what I do, unfortunately. They're perfectly willing to put ads on my video, and I'll probably have to edit this out because, I don't know, they'll be mad about it or something like that. But yeah, they're not so much interested in sharing my videos themselves, so that's sort of up to you guys. And again, if you comment, like, there's a subscribe button somewhere down here. And if you've listened this long, you should definitely subscribe, because there's going to be more adventures to come. As I mentioned, I camped upstate this weekend because I wanted to test actually a lot of camping gear in addition to just get away for a bit. The camping gear worked, so I've mentioned this in previous videos, but there's a big road trip coming up that I'm doing where I'm going to drive across the country and trash clean along the way in very different habitats. So I'll be all the way on the Pacific coast, which is 3,000 miles away from where I currently am on the ocean and cleaning. But I'll be cleaning up other ecosystems along the way. So lakes, rivers, who knows what else. The skies are the limit when it comes to trash cleaning. And I've been talking to people around the country to kind of scout out certain spots. So I'm excited for it. And that's in 4 weeks. So that's coming soon. And I'll have updates on that as we get near. But anyways, thanks again so much for watching. Love that you guys are here. Appreciate you guys watching and getting trash with me. So until next time, stay safe out there, be well, clean well, and I hope to see you guys on the beach soon.